Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vipro niṣkiñcanaḥ kaścit purā prāgjyotiṣe vasann ajñāta-śāstrārtho bahu-draviṇa-kāmyayā. Long ago in the city of Prāgjyotiṣa, there lived a poor Brahmin. He was ignorant of the teachings of Scripture, and he hankered after abundant wealth. Om ajñāta-śāstrārtho hankered taksur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. I'm in class, I have some people here, and also we have online. And it's just a great month, February. The weather is ideal. We leave every day at 7 o'clock and go around, usually the Govinda side, Govinda-kund side. But on Nityananda's appearance day, we went around the Radha-kund side. And as we were circumambulating Radha-kund, we stopped at Nityananda Bhaitik. That's the place where Lord Nityananda sat before he internally got this call to go to Navadvip and join Lord Nityananda. Very interesting here too. Champa couldn't come today. She gives her own class with Damodar, Vinod, and Sri Rupa is probably in the air now. And Karuna Purna will come, Kastuba, Yvette, Dan Murphy, a lot of different people coming. And we just, right, what my objective is can you turn on one more light? I think it's the bottom, just turn them all on and you'll see which one goes on. Okay, there's no, okay. No, it means the objective of the ashram, I had like a saying, faith is trust by experience. And I just had a nice report from the Middle Eastern tea brewer who came. And her daughter was here, 24-year-old daughter. And she was here and just had a report that in her country, she went to a small Nityananda Appearance Day gathering, and the lady there who knows her said that her faith has changed. So that's the greatest blessing is faith, because faith is our objective, and therefore it's the impetus that moves us in a particular direction, right? And there's nothing a mother could want more than their child having the right faith. How hellish it is when your child has the wrong faith, or their faith is not strong enough, and you don't know which way they're going to move. And the environment inspires your faith. That's why we like Bṛhad so much, right, Jamuna Bhavani? Yeah, everyone here, we all at different times or something go around. It takes 2.5 hours, and you develop a relationship with Govardhan Hill. Every day it gets better, and you look at the hill, and you feel the sambandha, the connection, just like a cow and a calf, a mother and a child, a devotee and God. In terms of the hill, there's some kind of energy, just like there's an energy between a mother and a child. There's an energy between us and God. And when you walk around the hill, and then everything looks spiritual, even the things materially you wouldn't ordinarily like in Bṛhad. As Raghunath Das Goswami said, I would rather hear the prajalpa of the Brijbasis than to attain love of Godhead any place else. There's a little understanding of that. They're connected to Krishna, and you can kind of feel it. And around the hill, the people going and walking, and the other thing is at least for followers of Prabhupada, it's the best Hare Krishna community in the world. In this little town, you got 3 or 4 centers, and you got the Govardhan Retreat Center by Shesh Kapoor's right there. Now you got Sri Rupa Seva Kunj. That's where Champak's parents are developing, and you got the Govardhan ISKCON Sadhana Ashram. Then you got the best place, a Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. And there's always people coming and staying. But anyway, one treat was, we went to Nityananda's Baitak, and I had this question. And the question is, had Lord Chaitanya discovered Radha Kund before Nityananda was sitting there? I had this question. So when I went for lunch, I went to Rupa Seva Kunj, because Champak's mother and stepfather run that incredible place with 10,000 trees, and they have prasad every day, so they invited me in. And I sat down next to this person named, this disciple of Radhanath Swami. He's a business consultant in London, but his family goes back 18 generations, and they left Govardhan at the time of Aurangzeb, so you can imagine how many generations they go back. That was after, and they trace it to a Brahmin named Govardhan Das, who had a personal relationship with Raghunath Das Goswami. And it's a lineage of scholars. And he still has he has that samskara carried down from 18 generations. And he's carried down, his children are learning Sanskrit. But it's not just you learn the language. He described, even you learn Shankaracharya. Why? He said, because you have to establish Siddhanta. It's the conclusion. But you have to be, to determine a conclusion, you have to have different opinions. So he said you have to learn the other opinions. He said he once gave a class in the manor. He said no one should stay here if you're only, it's an hour and a half class if you're only going to stay for 30 minutes, because I'm going to establish Shankaracharya. So you got to wait for that's the purva paksha. It's against the conclusion, and then, thesis, antithesis, and then the conclusion. So it was so wonderful. He's so humble, and we even went he gave a few classes in the evening. He gave, last night, was it? Yeah, that's good. Last night he gave a class on the 9th canto, and it was a summary of the 9th canto. And it was, we were sitting on the edge of our seats, and he's so humble. He even mentions the great book, Waves of Devotion, by Dhanurdhara Swami in his class. And what he did was, I can't even explain it now, but he gave an overview of the 9th canto. First he explained the 7th and 8th canto. Briefly, what is the, I don't know the term, but the theme of it, and then the sub-themes of it, and then how, those and how they fit in these different Sanskrit categories of how you analyze. So he got this theme, and then how this theme fits in the 7th, fits into the 8th, and then how the 8th fits into the 9th. And the 9th is confusing. It starts with this whole transgender thing in the first chapter. I forgot how it is. Someone becomes a man, then he becomes a woman, and and then he explained everything so nicely. So I sat down to him. I said, because he's really deep, to Bṛhad. He explained that, so his family had to move, and they wound up in Gujarat, because they had to leave, and then somehow the government gave them land. They, had a sugarcane business, but they were still Pandits. And then how the port of Surat moved to Mumbai, then they moved to Mumbai. So he describes his father. Every Ekadasi, they would take the train from Mathura the day before, and they would do full Govardhan Parikram. And he said, even in 1980, when they did Govardhan Parikram, who was this guy with this motorbike, right?
I don't know, you have some name.
Right? It's always that they had to have 2 guards with them with lathis, because when you were in it, because you'd go at night in the summer and it was dark. Govardhan goes through 2 states. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, when you walk towards Puchera, you're in Rajasthan.
No.
Yeah, so, and the funny thing is that UP built this beautiful gate, and then it stops because it's in Rajasthan, and then you go around, then it starts again.
Oh.
Yeah, so he said that part, and he said some with leopards and his family, but he knows deeply. So he said no. He said Nityananda was sitting there before Lord Chaitanya discovered Radhakund, and he didn't know it was Radhakund. It was just these paddy fields. He didn't know, because that was Lord Chaitanya himself discovered Radhakund. And he knows also that Nityananda was in different places in Radhakund too. And that's interesting too, because his family was Vallabha. So they were the ones that had the Vallabhacharya had the Nathji deities. So sadhu sanga, sarva shastra hoy, lavamatra, sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hoy. This Sanga, this Sanga is the key. If you want that faith, you want to move forward in your objective. Yeah. And then there's a Satchidananda Swami retreat at the end of you'll have to make the great sacrifice of moving to the GRC. I don't know if you can tolerate the ashram. What? You can come back here and use the washing machine. Yeah, it's yeah. So anyway, this where we are now in the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, and I decided it's too much to wait for a Sunday, at least in my mind. So I'm going to do Sunday and Wednesday. So we have the whole story how the first part was finished. It's somehow it describes that. It describes that when Maharaj Prithvi was about to die for 7 days, it was extended a little bit so he can satisfy his mother's inquiry to summarize the Bhagavatam. And again, I've made this theme many, many times. The Bhagavatam is a message, and a message can take different forms according to their audience, and it's still the same thing. For example, we have the Bhagavatam in different languages. It's still the Bhagavatam. It's still Prabhupada's books. And then you have the Bhagavatam, you have Prabhupada's purport. I read it in the Bhagavatam. Then you have a Bhagavatam class. It's the Bhagavatam. So it can take different shapes. So it took this shape, which the teacher, who's an expert teacher, understanding the frame of the audience, decides what format according to the frame of audience. And that also has to do with time. Just like yesterday, when we heard this Prabhu named Kartik Chandra, when we heard him speak, he had an hour and a half to summarize the whole ninth canto. So, and he knew the audience, and he did it in a way. He said usually he does it many, many days. But we enjoyed, even though I couldn't follow it all, but nothing was boring. Nothing was boring. So that was a summary of it. And when Sanatana Goswami is also writing this book, he also is really focused because he has the mission of giving the Bhagavatam. And he wants to make an accessible summary of it, which is the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. And what I'm appreciating is when you have that theme, paribhasa, Kartik Chandra said, paribhasa is a theme of a book. And he was describing every chapter has a theme. When you have that theme, that's the point. That's the point. So the theme of the Bhagavatam is Ete Chamsa Kalapum, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. And that point unifies everything else, even if it's apparently unrelated. And there's many subjects in the Bhagavatam. But it's really to get that point. And really not only, and he quoted also from the second canto, the 10th chapter, where there's a verse that describes there's 9 subjects to understand the 10th subject, which is Krishna. To understand Krishna. And even that, Prabhupada said, the smiling face, really, even the Ras Lila and Krishna's pastime. And to present that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and how he reveals it even deeper. Unato jvala rasam swabhakti swayam, God's own, the bhakti that God wants to be complete in his love. God wants to experience love. And he has to experience love, he has to experience love of himself from the perspective of his devotees. this thing to be presented. So he presents the first part in this story of Narada Muni searching for the topmost recipient of Krishna's love. And then, now the second part is somehow in the inquiry of Mother Uttara, who's sitting there before Maharaj Bṛhad, and she wants to know what is the place where this highest love is found. She kind of got a sense of Radharani and a little bit of the rasa, but where is this found? And somehow there's this connection that's so important. And living here, we can understand that we want to understand about the place. It's equally as important as understanding about the person, because it tells you everything about that person's heart. Just like, and I describe the science of sacred space, that the kind of love you want, you create a particular type of environment. Those of you who have read my latest Monday morning greeting, is there tea time? Is tea time an item of devotional service? And I can tell when the article gets a little buzz here, people appreciate it. So now we are focused on that room. It's a kitchen and living room. We are focused on that room, how to make that room so we can have that tea time exchange and open heart. You see also, there's more people coming now. They're going to have to come for that tea time. They're going to have to come for that tea time. So even though maybe you and Hemalata Radha, you can invite Jai Jagannath down for tea time. You come. You can, when they come, you invite Jai Jagannath. I tell Jai Jagannath, he wants to live here, he has to come down to tea time. Tea time is an important part of our. So we're fixing up the kitchen. We're getting the right teacups. Any ideas we can have to. So by the place tells you a lot about the love. So when you really want to understand this Braja Bhakti, you have to understand Govardhan. Even on our level, you can understand so much about Braja Bhakti by just and it goes beyond everything else that's apparently crazy. I love this neighbor we have, Ghosh, that takes care of the cows, because every time we have to go, we have to pass his house. Seems like such a beautiful family, right? He takes care of the cow. And takes care of the cows. We have like a park in front of my place, and he put the cows there. I love it, right? It wasn't being used because it's also some sewage and something. But he takes care of the cows. He's so happy and Ghosh literally means something with the cows. So we have a cowherd boy in our neighborhood, and you can learn so much. Beautiful child, the most beautiful child, who says Radhe Radhe. He's beautiful, the child. Yeah. So she wants to know about this place, and Maharaj Bṛhad, in a very humble way, establishes his authority, because he tells the mercy that he got in his life. And I know in the first canto it describes that was nothing lacking in his administration. The birth, the life, the death. Prabhupada, the birth, the life, the death. Gaur Govinda Maharaj, the birth, the life, the death. Of course, I had a very high birth, but it wasn't like that. I mean, we all know. But it wasn't, of course, joking, but not. But it wasn't that. So, see, he just, what is adhikar? What relationship with Krishna? How many experiences he had? Parikshit. Krishna appears in the womb, makes the impression that gave so much pleasure. That's what samskar it is. It's an impression, a positive or negative impression in the consciousness that makes you want to either fill that hole with the same thing that caused it, that caused the happiness, or avert that thing that caused you the pain. Those are samskaras. Those are samskaras. So he had all these samskaras, and he was so happy. He said, you know, when you get that good question, you become really excited. Especially the question that allows you to share your heart. Like I'm sure there's such a, in that Middle Eastern country where she is, my God, if someone asked her about how was Govardhan, she would be like so grateful for the person to be able to express her heart. Anyway, in terms of political view, the world is changing. Let's hope it winds up in the right place. Because I have this strong desire to have an eating tour. There's going to be no preaching. There's going to be no kirtan. I'm just going to go around that country. And you know the Supreme Personality of rice, but it's not just the Supreme Personality of rice. It's the pomegranates as big as my head, ruby red, not this stuff you buy in the market, but ruby red with a little salt. But the orange blossom cookies, the dates that really you can't tell the difference between them and glubjubbins. They were once shipped here just on the date. The one time of the year you can get them, they were before they turned to wine, and we took them to Raghunath's program, and they could not believe. So my eating tour of that country, who knows? By my strong desire here before Giriraj. Who knows?
These are desires also.
It's a big desire. So let's see how the world. So anyway, he says that, you know, there's Shruti and there's Smriti. I can explain your answer, but my guru told me a history that will answer your question. My guru. And his guru is who? It's Marjbrika, it's Sukadev. And Prabhupada makes the purport, Vyas did not initiate Sukadev, and Sukadev did not initiate Parikshit. But that is our Bhagavad Parampara, where that message comes through. So it tells the story about a poor Brahmin. And it's very interesting. It says ajñāta-śāstrārtho, the artha, the value, the meaning of the shastra, ajñāta, he does not know. And because he does not know, then kāmyayā, his hankering, his lust, is for bahu-draviṇa, much wealth. Tasyeva heto priyate kovido, talabhyate yad brahmatamu paryadav. Labhyate dukkhavat ajñāta-sukam, kalena saracha gambhira ramasa. I have no idea how I'm remembering those verses. No idea how I remembered that verses. Because I lay down before this, and I had this thing where I have this easy boy chair, and I say I'm going to chant in my mind. And I'm so focused on the holy name, lying in that chair. And I can't believe how comfortable I am and how focused I am lying in that chair, chanting the holy name. I'm hearing every syllable. And then I realized I slept the whole time. I still don't know if I slept because I was under the illusion. You know, I was under the illusion. It was so sweet. I'm laying in this position. The lunch came late. I'm late just before this class. And I'm laying in that position, I'm chanting, I'm hearing every syllable in my mind. It's going on and on. And then when it's finished, I wonder, have I just slept? But it's such, and then I roll out of that, and then I come to the class, but somehow or other, I don't know why, my mind is clear. Because usually I wouldn't remember a verse like that. So it's just Giriraj's mercy here. So we're going to go over this story, another story. So those of you that are intelligent enough, oh, there's a lot more than what started. Okay, that are intelligent enough to come every time, we'll get this story. And then next verse, Tattatya devam kamakyam sraddhayanu dinam bhajam tasya sakshasat tushtaya swapne mantram dashaksharam lebhe madana gopala charanam bhoja daivatam tadhyanadi vidanadhyam sakshad eva mahadnidam. Every day he would first faithfully worship Kamakya, the goddess of that place. And when she became satisfied, he received from her in a dream the 10-syllable mantra for worshiping the lotus feet of Madan Gopal. The goddess also gave him instructions how to meditate upon the mantra and perform various details of practice. The mantra manifested herself before him like a valuable treasure chest opened right before his eyes. A sadhu told me once something about dreams that I always remembered, because you told me that your daughter had a dream. And he said, and I've had this experience myself, when we require some faith, and again, it's not just I believe or don't believe, but the depth of our conviction. When we need even a stronger conviction to, our ideals, our objective, we need even more affirmation. But we're not qualified for the transcendence. The transcendence meets us on the subtle platform in dreams. That's why they can be, in one sense, very real. So the dream that your daughter had, it's real. It's real. And I told this story too. It's very interesting. When I knew I would have to kind of distance myself from the institution, and if you look in hindsight, it was the right move, because how the function, wasn't my desire, but it's Krishna, how he moves each individual. But it was a big decision because of my loyalty to Prabhupada and our training, that, and Bhakti-Vigyan Swami wrote that article of identifying the movement, the structures with the mission or its purpose. There's such a strong identification. And it's real too, because Joseph O'Connell wrote that what a movement does, it takes that which is right and proper into the future. So without that structure, the charisma, the inspiration doesn't carry. So it's not that it's not important. But, I had that, and I had two dreams. I could tell you the first dream, and I don't have these, I actually had a few times had to, but the first dream was, it was it was a beautiful kund in Vraja, not bigger than this room, maybe a little bigger, of red sandstone. And around it was a little clearing and then forest. and in the corner was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's samadhi, you know, that white sandstone. The first dream, Bhaktisiddhanta was there. And he called me and he said, "Don't worry, I accept you." Then I woke up. Had the same dream the next day, and Gaur Govinda Maharaj was there.
Wow.
And he said, "If you want to go deeper, I'll help you." So there's, and I'm not, you know, unlike Siddheshwari, I'm not like a mystical, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know, that was so mystical. So he would worship, and then, you know, somehow God saw that he wasn't qualified because he had this material goal of the Shastra, but somehow or other, you know, karma is very difficult to understand because, for example, I was once, came here when she became my disciple. I have a disciple, Krishna-katha, but a lady that passed away was Krishna-katha. And I was coming here to help Seva-priya and Krishna Kumari, who were taking care of their friend that was dying. So I was in Delhi, and it was the summer, and I'd stay at this house of this Indian family I met in Nigeria, who were, it's like an extraordinary family, joint family. And the second oldest brother was like a saint. He was one of those Indians that was so handsome, he looked exactly like Krishna. You know, it's like a karma. And he never got married, and he wasn't the least disturbed about it. Very rare. And he was such a beautiful kirtaneer. And he would sing, "Meri man mandira meke kabartum, ajaho giridhari. Giridhari Vanawari, Giridhari Vanawari, Merriman Mandira make Ekabartum, Ajaho Giridhari. Come, Giridhari, come into the temple of my heart. And he called me up. He called me up, and I told him what I'm doing. And this girl had a very heavy life. Imagine she's in Vrindavan dying, and her 6-year-old daughter is in America. Right? And she had a very heavy life. And he said sometimes Krishna gives someone all their karma in one life.
I can relate to that.
So it's like, you know, okay, finish it up, give it everything. So you can't really judge a person from where they are or what their struggling is. You know, you don't know what level and what Krishna is doing. So this Brahmin apparently was ignorant of the Shastra and had material desires, but on the other sense, somehow or other, God couldn't contact him for faith on the corporal platform. So he dealt it on the subtle platform of dreams. Isn't that an interesting point this sadhu gave me? Interesting point. So, you know where the Brahmin lived? In Assam.
Oh.
You ever heard, you know that? You ever heard of that?
This is from my husband.
I know that.
Oh, your husband is from Assam? Yeah. Oh. Asuras are from there.
What?
It's a very Asuric place.
Well, anyway, he's very fine. He's very fine.
Brother, very saintly.
Yeah. His city, Prāgjyotiṣa, had been the capital of Bhaumasura during the time of the advent of Lord Krishna. The Brahmin had never studied the scriptures properly and had never heard a basic explanation of their message from authorized teachers. That such an unfortunate fool achieved all his ambitions is proof of the potency of the mantra he achieved. The 10-syllable Gopal mantra is defined in esoteric terms in the book Krama-dipika, an old Vaishnav Tantra by Keshavacharya. Vedic and Tantric mantras should be chanted only by qualified persons who receive them through proper initiation. Therefore, when the books describe these mantras, special efforts are made to disguise the exact syllables of the mantras. Sometimes a few syllables are changed or inverted in the description, or sometimes, as in the Kramaka-dipika's presentation as Gopal mantra, the explanation is impossible to understand by those who are unfamiliar with the cryptic code being used. Thus, Krama-dipika describes the 10-syllable mantra as follows: Sharingi Sotara Danta Sura Vamakshi Yug Dvitiya Na Shuli Shurya Balo Balanuja. The holder of the bow, Sharangi, the upper teeth, then Surya, then the second letter conjoined with the goddess, Vanakshi, then the bearer of the trident, and Surya and Bala, and twice the younger brother, and the 4 more syllables. Ta-da. The deity worshipped by this mantra is Madan Gopal, Sriman, who happened to be the worshipable deity of the Srila Sanatana Goswami. Kamakya Devi gave the Brahmin not only the mantra, but also the method for meditating on the mantra's deity, and is applied by the word Adi and so on. She also told him how to touch one's body to sanctify it with the syllables of the mantra, and how to worship the deity through various means, including appropriate hand gestures. How was the Brahmin's attention attracted away from his worship of Devi? The Gopal mantra made such a vivid impression on him that he completely forgot his other religious activities. So now I kind of stopped the class. Sudeshra, you could kind of...
What's the time?
What? It's 10 to.
Okay, I stay this.
Oh, you say, okay, good. Jamuna Jaya,
Oh,
you have any...
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you for class. Hi everybody there. I see a tree. Hey guys, Haribo. I miss you. There's so many points that I love, particularly reminiscing about tea time. But I love this. Well, the 2 things. I love this. What you said about the mantra is like a treasure chest. That's such an important thing to remember. That the mantra is like that. Yes, from the verse. That I really love the way that was spoken. That I'll take that as my meditation today. Every time I say one part of the mantra is like opening up the treasure chest. But then I also love the thing about the dream, that if we're not ready, Krishna will come in such a way to the dream, to that platform. That's such an interesting and wonderful point.
Yeah, if you are not qualified on the corporal plane to directly touch transcendence, transcendence can meet us halfway. And that was a time of need for me. So, if there's a time of need, then that can happen. And that happened to Satya. She had this incredible dream, hankering. Her mind is still here. She's just deeply still here.
Yeah.
And she needed to take that experience, not just remember it here, but just to, go forward in a way. So,
put it in action.
what?
Put it in action.
Put it in action. How's her deity doing?
She's doing well.
Okay. Okay.
She was the last person on her plane. Our gates were right next to each other, and I sat with her. And then she didn't want to get on the plane. I said, honey, you got to go. And so she was literally the last person on her flight. And then I went to my gate and I watched her walk down the ramp. And it was just, I could see the separation. I almost cried. It was, yeah, she left a mark on my soul for sure.
She was the last person on the plane?
Yeah, I watched it because they called her gate and we were sitting there talking because my flight was a half hour later. And I was sitting there and she stayed and we were talking, and finally there was like the guy was like saying, this is it. And I'm like, you got to go. You got to get on that plane. And so finally she went over, and then there's the big ramp, and I could watch her go down. So sad to not want to leave Govardhan. It was quite stunning. Yeah. Mm.
You're the last one to know. Can you imagine if he called you, Sudeshri? I missed the plane,
I
right?
made sure she got on today's street. I made sure she got on.
Without Shamunajaya there,
She might have stayed.
she would have ripped up her passport, just covered her head, and stayed here for the rest of her life
Yes.
because she would have no way of moving out, and she couldn't make that decision anyway. So that's okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Gail, you have any question to say?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, just now we were talking about, is it Sadeshri's daughter or?
Yes, Sudeshri's daughter, Satya.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, when, about the dreams also, just trying to figure out when should we, as, Prabhupada said, dreams are mostly Maya. When should we give any credence to them, or, and when should we kind of like,
Well, I think two things. Either in your heart, it's so clear and confirmed. I mean, my dreams were so connected with what my life was and so uncanny and or in consultation with others, because, but the depth of it, I had another dream one that was directly connected with an existential question that I needed personally resolved. I had a dream with Prabhupada in it. So, yeah, but it's extraordinary to have a dream of Guru, or Krishna, or, otherwise what our dreams are, they're just a composite of our, they're a composite of our thoughts put together, but not in a orderly way. It's what our mind will, our dreams now, what our mind will be at death.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, was it the first verse of the Bhagavatam that you were quoting when you were talking about the essence of the Bhagavatam? Etat something.
Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnas tu Bhagavan Swayam.
Okay, so I think that the essence of the Bhagavatam is devotional service to Krishna.
It's essence, first of all, that Krishna is that object of our devotion. That is the essence of the Bhagavatam, that Krishna is the object of our devotion.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
Hey, Kalachandri, nice to see you. Haribo.
Haribo.
I'm thinking of writing an article based on something else I'm teaching called The Mission of Lord Chaitanya and the Genius of Krishnadas Kaviraj in presenting it, because I'm doing this Antya 1 where, Antya 1 where Antya Lila begins, and it's really where Lord Chaitanya reveals the esoteric reason for his appearance. So there's all these things that happen, which I think is like really a genius, literary genius, is we're entering the Antya Lila. Then it's the story of people entering the Antya Lila. And then you have the story of the dog. The first verse says, even a lame man can climb mountains, even a dumb man can recite. So you get this image that by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, the impossible can be achieved. And the impossible to be achieved is us realizing all this stuff. So the first story is this dog that gets liberated. And then at the same time, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying it's impossible for me to finish the text because I'm so old that I think I'm going to die. So it's all these things that are coming together in such a beautiful way to present this point that we're entered, Lord Chaitanya's, and it's the beginning of the Antya Lila to understand this. So there's all these points that have the same theme, and it just seems to me that it's kind of like a real literary person who has this point and puts it together in so many interesting ways. Just thought I would speak to an English professor.
That sounds great. The story of the story within the story within the story. That's great.
Yeah. Will you say hello to the people that are left here?
Hare Krishna.
You don't mind. That's
Hare Krishna.
That's my Krishna's
Krishna.
brother. He's a professor.
Hare Krishna.
He's from Iran. They're coming here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll speak to you about it because it's interesting and there must be parallels. Okay.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Say hello.
Hare Krishna Garaj, it's Lal Govinda.
I'm Bṛhad.
Hey.
Thanks for class.
Thank you for class.
Okay.
Haribo.
Okay. Wait.
I am jealous. I was not part of that New Jersey Housewives. I wasn't.
Oh my
I'm
God.
disappointed.
When I put that line, the Housewives of New Jersey, and you weren't included, right? Well, you would have ruined it because you're so advanced. It wouldn't have exhibited the degree of mercy that the others achieved. What?
No, I would have been the leader of the tea time.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So nice to see you. Hare
Nice
Krishna.
to
Next
Nice to
time
meet
we're gonna meet you here.
see you. Yes.
You know Satya, Bṛhad, right?
No, I've never met her.
You know her daughter. Oh, you didn't meet her at the Echo Village?
No, that was Sri
Okay.
Radhika. I met.
Haribo.
Hare
Okay. Sri Radhika. Okay. She's coming here too.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm going. I'm crazy today.
Okay.